Hey challenge friends, welcome back to This Week on the Challenge with me, Adrian, and oh my goodness, what a great episode 3 we had. That was so wild. It got my heart pumping. You all know what I'm talking about in the elimination, but before we get there, let's talk about what happened in the beginning of the episode. So they go back to the house. They talk about how TJ's new rule about them being able to vote someone in the tribunal into the elimination is going to shake things up, because take for example a guy's elimination. There's 2 guys in the tribunal and 1 girl. Both guys want to go into the elimination. So it ends up being that the girl gets to decide, or that third person gets to decide which one out of those 2 get to go in. So it just adds another layer of complexity and difficulty in getting to the final challenge. So another layer of hell for them. Then we see a scene of Bailey and Swaggy cuddling and snuggling in bed, and they have with them like a huge blanket actually printed on the blanket different pictures of them. And no, I'm just kidding. No, I don't have a blanket with my picture on it. I mean, tell me if you guys do. I mean, I know some people have pictures of like their pets on the blankets, you know, living deceased pets to like remember them, which is kind of sweet, but God, like I think pictures of yourselves, like it's a bit much for me. It's a bit much for me, but tell me what you think. And then we also see another scene of Ashley getting upset that Johnny Bananas has been bad-mouthing her so much. So basically telling everyone that they can't trust her. You know, they've had beef from a previous game, and Johnny actually has a lot of pull in these games. Like, a lot of people follow what he says. So when he tells them not to trust her, a lot of people are going to listen, and Ashley's understandably upset. And so in this situation, like, although Ashley is super emotional, she has so many outbursts, like, I actually do feel sympathetic to her, because Johnny is he just has such a loud mouth, and as much as you hate him, you know, you can't say that he's not a leader, because so many people do follow him. So I do feel sympathetic to Ashley, because, you know, he has a lot of pull with what he says, but I agree with Ashley in this case. Like, I don't like Johnny Bananas. And then we get to the challenge, which is called Decode and Detonate. This is going to be an individual challenge where they have this line of symbols. They have to run to 2 puzzle boards and decode that symbols in the form of, like, it could either be alphabets or letters. They don't know which symbol is on which puzzle board, so it's a lot of just like memorizing and figuring it out. So Swaggy gets his board checked first. TJ says it's not correct. CT goes next, and TJ says he's good to go. So CT runs to the end, he presses that button, and the car blows up. My God, I was shocked when I saw this, because I'm like, this is so unnecessary for just a challenge like in this show. I mean, the amount of smoke and pollution that was like running up in the air just made me so angry, and it was just so unnecessary. Then we see Bailey, who's the next one to get her check. TJ says she's good, she runs, she wins. So right there, CT and Bailey make up the tribunal. They have to pick a third person, which Bailey obviously wants to pick Swaggy, her hubby, and CT obviously doesn't want that to happen, because then it's going to be 2 against 1. CT wants to go into the elimination, so he doesn't want that scenario to happen, but Bailey and Swaggy assure him that they actually don't want Swaggy to go into the elimination. They want him to be in the tribunal so that the house doesn't vote him into the elimination. Given that you need a red skull in order to make it to the final, that is very interesting gameplay. I mean, I get it. This is their first challenge, so they probably want to stay for as long as they can, but it's only going to get harder the longer you stay to even get the chance to go into the elimination. So they should have really jumped for it, but they assured CT. CT agrees. He lets Swaggy into the tribunal, and in a way, kind of test their loyalty to see what they're going to do. In terms of playability of this challenge, I would give myself a 4 out of 5, because, you know, it's really hard to decode those symbols, but I think my memory is pretty good. I mean, I attended the Big Brain Academy via Nintendo DS when I was younger, and I did very well. So I think that, you know, this challenge wasn't too physically demanding. It just took a lot of brain power, which I think is, you know, I think you can work up to it. So for me, I think this challenge was a 4 out of 5. And then we go back into the house where we get a scene of the girls discussing who the house wants to put into the elimination. And it seems like everyone wants to put in poor Jay simply because they think he's the weakest, because he's just the smallest physically, even though he's already won a Red Skull, you know, so technically he's already proven himself. And while they're talking about this, Ashley decides to throw out the idea of voting in Johnny Bananas. The girls in the group quickly agree. Kayla was one of those girls. Kayla runs over to Corey and Nelson, tells them about this plan. Corey then runs over to Wes to kind of, you know, gauge how he's feeling about this, because had this been a previous season, Wes would be the first person to vote in Bananas. But in this season, they decided to work together, so Wes is really deciding, you know, is it now I pull the trigger against Johnny, or do we work together for a little bit and then try to get him out in the end? Or do they really try to work together throughout the entire thing? I don't know. But anyways, we get to the elimination. Johnny tosses his vote to Jay. Jay throws it right back. People kind of go around. It's actually really close. And then Jordan decides to burn the vote on himself because he is smart but also scared. And then we go to Jenna, who decides she doesn't know who to vote for, so she's gonna burn her vote on Nelson. And then Josh burns his vote on Nelson, Nani burns her vote on Nelson, Casey burns her vote on Nelson, and just like that, like, they don't realize it's not just a burn vote. You're actually all stacking your votes up for this like random person in the house to go in. It is so silly. And then Nelson gets mad because he's like, Kayla, this was your plan. You should vote for Johnny. And then Kayla gets angry because he called her out in front of everybody, so she throws a vote at him. You know, it's all now like an even vote, like 5-5-5 for Jay, Johnny, and Nelson. And then next they go to Wes, and Wes thinks for a second, but he ends up voting Jay, which shows Johnny that, you know, his alliance is with Johnny for the season, or at least for the time being. And then I put the rest of the scaredies in the room, vote for Jay. Jay ends up going into the elimination again, even after he's already won his Red Skull, which is so annoying. So this whole plan of the girls wanting to throw in Johnny Bananas against someone like CT, because he wants to go in from the tribunal. So potentially getting one of these guys, who are one of the very strong players in this house, out of this game would have been such a good strategy. But again, all these people are scared. They want to align themselves with Johnny because he has so many friends in the game. But if they look at, you know, the past few seasons, Johnny hasn't actually done that well. So I really, really would have hoped that they wouldn't have been scared to throw him in, because I would have really liked to throw him in. Ugh, mad. Makes me so mad. And so we go to this next scene where they go out for a party at this bar. I just wrote down Tori dressed like a tree while Jenny looks like a sexy lady. And here Dee starts making out with Jay right in front of Rogan. Rogan gets mad, blah, blah, blah. Back at the house, Rogan and Dee argue over the fact that Rogan is trying to move out of the room because he's uncomfortable sleeping in the same like bunk bed with Dee if she's gonna hook up with Jay. And so they have this whole talk about, you know, back and forth of, don't you care about me? I care about you, but you're doing this. Oh, blah, blah, blah. My God, it was so exhausting to watch. These two have taken up way too much screen time in the first 3 episodes. Like, they were really entertaining to begin with, I will say. But by now, it's like the same thing. Like, Rogan doesn't want you. He's just here for a good time. Do you need to get over it? You just need to leave him alone. So I am so annoyed. I don't want to watch these two anymore. MTV, stop putting them on my TV. Stop putting them on my TV. Ugh, can't stand these two. Next is the tribunal interrogation, where CT, who really wants to go into the elimination, Swaggy and Bailey, who Swaggy doesn't want to go into the elimination, picks 3 people to interrogate. But it was actually really like a useless interrogation because CT already wants to go in. Like, he's not going to give someone else the opportunity to go into the elimination to win that Red Skull. CT is not scared of anyone. So, and definitely not of Jay, who has been voted into the elimination at this point. So I had a hard time seeing what the point of this interrogation even was. But anyways, they end up interrogating Bear, Rogan, and Nelson, who are so excited to pitch their case. But again, useless scene because none of these guys ever had a chance of going in, because CT is not going to let that happen. If CT doesn't take this chance, he knows that people are not going to give him the opportunity to go into the elimination because he's going to crush anyone in the elimination. So again, useless scene. Yeah, useless. So now we finally get to Purgatory, where the tribunal votes in CT to go into the elimination. And Swaggy really wasn't lying. He didn't want to go into the elimination, which is why he wanted to be in the tribunal. So no fight there. This challenge, or this elimination, is going to be called Take Shelter, where they both start with these bunkers, and the point is to barricade your bunker as well as you can with all of the resources there. So they have like rocks, boulders, cinder blocks, rope, metal chains, little ropes, like anything, so that at the end of 20 minutes they swap places and they have to untangle the mess that's created, open the door around these bunkers, and press the button inside. And so we've seen this challenge, like variations of this challenge, in previous seasons, and it's always a good fight. So I'm really excited for it for this challenge. So right away, CT's strategy is to pick up the rope and the metal chain and create as many knots and ties as he can around the door of this bunker. He really does weave like so many knots together that it looks like such a headache to even untangle. And Jay's strategy is actually to pick up as many heavy things as he can to put it in front of the door so that he tires CT out, trying to pick up and move all this weight before getting to that final metal chain that he has to untangle. But if you saw it, CT's door compared to Jay's door with that tiny metal chain, like CT's door would have taken like hours to untangle. So I mean, at this point I was feeling bad for Jay, as was the rest of the house. After 20 minutes, CT's door is looking like a freaking puzzle, kind of like, you know, when you have like a necklace and then you toss it in your bag and then you pick it up days later, it's like takes you 5 minutes to untangle it because, you know, you don't know what happened in there. And Jay's door does have a lot of weight in front of it, but it just has one like single metal chain tied in front of it. So CT actually looks like he could rip open that metal chain if he was like angry enough and like really pissed off. As they start, CT picks up all of the weight that Jay has put in front of his door and moves it like it's nothing. Like, he picks up stones, tosses it. Jay has woven his chain through cinder blocks, which is actually, like, that would have been my strategy too, is to weave it through cinder blocks. But CT literally picks up the cinder blocks and just tosses it on the ground and smashes it so that he doesn't actually have to, like, untangle anything. He's just breaking shit. And so didn't expect that at all, but really smart of CT. I'm gonna think about that for next time. But Jay starts untangling the knot. He's working on one knot for such a long time. By the time CT has moved all the weight and is working on that last metal chain, Jay has basically only untangled one knot. But as he's untangling it, all of a sudden the door pops open as he pops open one knot, and the entire house is shocked. Like, look at all these people's faces. They are shocked. Jay even is shocked. Like, he turns around for a second to see, you know, if CT has already opened the door. And no, like, he pops it open, he runs inside, he presses that button, and he wins the elimination, automatically eliminating CT, which is such a big upset. Like, I was so excited watching this game because going in, Jay was definitely the underdog, and CT, like, you see CT as someone that's going to crush anyone in any challenge. So there's not really a, ooh, who's he going up against? It's, that poor guy going up against CT. You know? Like, everyone thinks CT is going to win everything. And so it was amazing to see Jay defeat CT. And Jay was so excited to go against CT, someone that he's watched on TV for such a long time. And CT was actually such a gracious loser. Like, he, you know, even though he lost his challenge, he was like, good job, buddy. You know, you really deserved it. That kind of thing. Like, he wasn't pissed off at all. And so I thought that was really nice to watch them. But I am so happy. Like, this was so exciting. This is what made the episode. Like, everyone in the house was so shocked. This totally throws off the game because now Jay has 2 red skulls. He's the only guy in the house that's eligible to make it into the finale. And you know, unfortunately, I have a feeling that people are still gonna gun for him because they think that he's the weakest, and because he's a rookie, it really, like, if they go against him, it really is burning the least amount of bridges. But I really hope they don't, because he's now proven twice now that he is a strong player. He has 2 red skulls. He's the only person eligible for the elimination. So really hope people don't, you know, gun for him in the next few weeks. But anyways, that was such an amazing episode. Oh, in this last one, in terms of playability, you know, I'm gonna say 4 because I think it's more strategic, right? Like, so I think that, you know, I'm actually better at strategy than like doing physical things. So I will give myself a 4 out of this one because I think it's quite playable if you have the right strategy. So yeah, let me know your thoughts, how shocked you were at this finale, if you were jumping up and down and hooting and hollering. I definitely was, but I'm excited to watch next week with you guys. Let me know your thoughts about the episode and we will chat. Bye.